You've been ruled by your emotions for far too long. Every impulse, every reaction, every regret, it all starts the same way. A feeling shows up and you obey it. Anger whispers, fear shouts, excitement deceives. And before you even think, you act. You send the text, you quit the job, you break the promise. All because emotion took the wheel and you let it drive. Here's the truth most people never face. Emotions are signals, not steering wheels. They're meant to inform you, not command you. You're supposed to feel them, not follow them. That's the key. Every single mistake that wrecked your peace, your progress, or your purpose, it started when emotion became your decision maker. The 5-minute mistake. Let's start with a story. A leader, respected, disciplined, admired, lost everything in 5 minutes. Why? Because he couldn't master one emotion: anger. He felt betrayed by a close friend. Instead of breathing, thinking, and responding, he reacted. He lashed out. He said things that couldn't be unsaid. He burned bridges that took 10 years to build. And when the fire died down, so did his career. He didn't lose his position because he was wrong. He lost it because he was emotional. You see, emotion doesn't care about your reputation. It doesn't care about logic, values, or goals. Emotion wants one thing: control. And when you hand it over, it destroys what you built in seconds. Feel it, don't follow it. That phrase will save you. Feeling is human. Following is weakness. You are not a robot. You're supposed to feel frustration, excitement, sadness, joy. But when those feelings dictate your choices, you lose your power. That's not strength, that's surrender. You think you're being real or authentic, but reacting is not authenticity, it's immaturity. Maturity means you can stand inside the storm without letting it blow you off course. You can feel anger without becoming it. You can feel fear without bowing to it. You can feel excitement without being blinded by it. That's emotional mastery, and that's freedom. You have a choice. Every single time emotion shows up, you have a choice. You can pause. You can breathe. You can choose how to respond. That's power. Not the fake power of shouting, quitting, or proving a point, but the quiet power of discipline and control. Remember this: people who can't control their emotions are controlled by people who can. The cost of emotional decisions. Emotional decisions don't just make you look weak, they make you lose. They cost you relationships, opportunities, money, time. Because every emotional decision comes from impulse, not intention. You buy things to feel better. You argue to feel right. You quit because it's hard, not because it's wrong. And every time you wake up the next morning with regret. Why? Because feelings fade, always, but decisions stay. That emotion that felt so powerful in the moment disappears, but the consequences it created remain. That's why you have to live by principle, not emotion. Principle doesn't panic. Principle doesn't chase validation. Principle doesn't make excuses. It simply says, this is who I am, this is what I do, no matter how I feel today. That's the standard you must set. Because emotions change daily, principles don't.
Emotional intelligence is emotional separation. You've heard the phrase emotional intelligence, but most people misunderstand it. It's not about being more emotional, it's about being more aware. Awareness creates space, space between the feeling and the action. That space is where wisdom lives. You feel anger rising, but instead of reacting, you observe it. You ask, why am I feeling this? You listen to the message, not the noise. Because emotion carries information. It's trying to tell you something, but it's not trying to lead you. Anger might be telling you a boundary was crossed. Fear might be showing you where you need courage. Sadness might be revealing what truly matters to you. Use that information, but don't hand over control. Feel it, don't follow it. That's the difference between those who evolve and those who self-destruct. The habit of reaction. Let's be honest. You've been trained to react. From childhood, you were rewarded for emotional outbursts. Cry, get attention. Complain, get comfort. Explode, get results. That pattern follows you into adulthood. Now you use emotional reaction as a weapon, or worse, as an escape. But here's the truth. Emotional reaction might give you temporary relief, but it will cost you long-term respect. People stop taking you seriously when they know you can't manage yourself. Your credibility dies the moment your emotions start running the meeting. You want to be a leader? Control your tone. Control your timing. Control your energy. Discipline is emotional control. That's the foundation of every successful person you admire. They don't move based on moods. They move based on mission. How to reclaim control. You want to stop letting emotions make decisions for you? Then start here. Pause before you react. When you feel the rush of emotion, pause for 10 seconds. Let your body catch up to your mind. You'll see how quickly feelings lose their grip. Name what you feel. Don't say, I'm angry. Say, I'm experiencing anger. That simple shift creates distance between you and it. You're not the emotion, you're the observer. Ask, what would discipline do? Discipline is your higher self. Ask this question every time emotion demands a decision. Let principle answer, not panic. Do that consistently, and something amazing happens. You stop being reactive, you become deliberate. You stop being emotional, you become powerful. The emotional filter. Before every decision, run it through this filter. Will this matter in 24 hours? Does this align with my principles? Am I reacting or responding? Most emotional decisions fail that test, and once you realize that, you'll stop giving them your power. Because emotions lie. They exaggerate. They make small problems feel catastrophic and temporary pain feel permanent. But when you act from awareness, not emotion, you see clearly, you move calmly, you win quietly. That's the secret few ever learn. You don't need to suppress emotion. You need to master it. You need to train it to serve you, not sabotage you. Feel it, don't follow it. Remember that phrase, live by it, because every time you follow emotion, you lose direction, and every time you master emotion, you gain control. That's the balance between feeling and freedom. You've just learned the first rule of emotional mastery. Never let emotions make decisions for you. Now that you've taken back control, it's time to confront the next truth that separates peace from chaos, focus from noise. Chapter 2. The Trigger Trap. How you are being controlled without knowing it.
You think you're in control. You think your reactions are your own. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Most of the time, you're not reacting from power. You're reacting from programming. You've been trained to take the bait. You've been conditioned to defend, explain, and prove yourself to people who don't even matter. And every time you do, you give away your control. That's the trap. the trigger trap. Every time you explode, they win. Every time you argue, they win. Every time you show them who you are, you're showing them you're still emotionally owned. They can't control you if they can't trigger you. That's the key. How control really works. Control doesn't start with chains. It starts with reactions. They poke, you react. They learn your pattern. And from that moment, you're predictable. And predictable people are easy to manipulate. Think about it. Someone insults you online. You respond instantly. You've just handed them your piece. Someone ignores your message. You spiral into overthinking. You've just handed them your focus. Someone disagrees with you, and you waste energy proving your point. You've just handed them your time. They didn't need to touch you, shout at you, or even know you. They only needed to trigger you. And just like that, your emotions become their remote control. That's the system you've been living in. Emotional slavery disguised as self-expression. The social media experiment. Let's look at the modern battlefield, social media. Every scroll is a setup. Every post is bait. You think you're just sharing your opinion, but you're being pulled into emotional warfare. You see a headline that provokes you, and you react. You see someone living a life you want, and you react. You see a comment that challenges your ego, and you react. Every reaction feeds the system. Every trigger keeps you distracted, drained, and divided. The algorithm doesn't care about your feelings. It cares about engagement. And the easiest way to make you engage is to anger you. They don't need to convince you. They just need to provoke you. They don't need your agreement. They need your reaction. Because reaction equals attention, and attention equals control. That's why silence is power. When you stop reacting, you break the system. You stop feeding what's feeding on you. Personal triggers, the invisible chains. It's not just social media, it's personal too. Your triggers are everywhere. Family, friends, coworkers, relationships. You know that person who always seems to get under your skin? They know exactly what button to press, and you press play every time. They guilt you. You defend yourself. They insult you. You explain your worth. They withdraw. You chase. They don't even have to be manipulative. Your reaction does the work for them. That's how emotional control works. You keep giving people the script, and they keep playing their part. You say, "I hate when people ignore me." So guess what they'll do the next time they want to control you? Ignore you. You say, "I can't stand when someone disrespects me." They'll disrespect you, not because they believe it, but because it works. If they can trigger you, they can direct you. If they can direct you, they can control you. They can't control you if they can't trigger you. Why you take the bait in the first place? Let's go deeper. Why do you take the bait in the first place? Because your ego is louder than your wisdom. Your ego needs to be seen, heard, validated, and right. It needs to win. And the moment you argue, justify, or explain, your ego is running the show. But here's the truth. You don't need their permission. You don't need their agreement. You don't even need them to understand. You only need your discipline. Because it's not about being right, it's about being in control. That's the key. Silence is the strongest response. People think silence is a weakness. It's not. It's dominance. When you don't react, you confuse them. When you don't explain, you protect your energy. When you don't defend, you preserve your power. Silence isn't about being passive. It's about being precise. You choose where to spend your words. You choose when to engage. You choose what deserves your energy.
That's what emotional freedom looks like. Choice. You have a choice every time someone tries to provoke you. You can either take the bait or take your peace. You can't have both. Recognize the pattern. Start watching your triggers like a scientist. Observe what sets you off. Ask yourself, who benefits when I react this way? Because someone always benefits. The marketer who provoked your insecurity, the troll who wanted your attention, the manipulator who wanted control. When you see it, you can stop it. When you understand it, you can rise above it. You don't fight the trigger, you neutralize it. And the more neutral you become, the harder you are to control. That's what they fear, a calm person. A person who doesn't flinch, doesn't explain, doesn't take the bait. That's real strength. How to escape the trigger trap. Let's make this practical. Here's how you break free. Pause before responding. Every time you feel heat rising, stop. Don't text, don't reply, don't react. Breathe. Let time expose what emotion tries to hide. Label the trigger. Say it out loud. This is a trigger. The moment you name it, you detach from it. You move from reaction to observation. Ask, who gains from my reaction? Be honest. Are you feeding your ego or your purpose? Is your reaction creating peace or giving someone control? Choose silence. Sometimes the best move is no move. The power of no response is that it gives you time to choose the right one later. Do that daily. Practice it like a muscle, because the world will never stop testing you. Your power lies in not taking the test. The real freedom. Emotional control isn't about suppression, it's about strategy. You're not avoiding emotion, you're mastering your responses to it. When someone tries to trigger you and you stay calm, that's not indifference, that's intelligence. You're saying, you don't get to control me anymore. You don't get access to my peace. You don't get the reaction you came for. They can't control you if they can't trigger you. Remember that phrase. Live by it. It's your armor in a world built on emotional manipulation. The less reactive you are, the freer you become. Because the person who controls your emotions controls your life. Stop giving people that privilege. Stop giving the world that power. You have a choice every time. You can either react or rise. And rising starts with silence. You've now learned how emotional triggers steal your control and how silence takes it back. You've learned that your peace is not lost, it's traded every time you react. You mastered the trap. You broke the pattern. Now it's time to build what control really feels like. Stillness. Because peace isn't found in noise. It's built in restraint. You conquered the trigger trap. Now, let's go deeper. Chapter 3. Mastering the pause. Power doesn't come from speed. Power comes from the pause. The pause between what you feel and what you do. That tiny space, the one you ignore, is where your entire life can change. The most powerful people on earth aren't the loudest. They're not the fastest to react. They're the ones who pause. Because in that pause, they think. In that pause, they choose. In that pause, they win. That's the secret. That's the discipline. That's the key. The moment that decides everything. Every reaction starts the same way. Something happens, you feel something, then you act. That middle step, the pause, is where most people lose control. You get angry, you text back. You feel disrespected, you shout. You feel ignored, you chase. You feel pressure, you rush a decision, and then you regret it. Every time. The truth is simple. The stronger your emotions, the shorter your pause. The shorter your pause, the weaker your control. That's why people with power, emotional mastery, and influence, they live inside that pause. They don't move fast emotionally. They move intentionally. You have a choice. You can live on impulse, or you can live on discipline. It's not about being emotionless. It's about being measured. That's the difference between people who react and people who rule. The 5-second discipline. Here's a tool you can use right now. I call it the 5-second discipline. It's simple, but it's not easy. Whenever you feel that emotional spike, anger, anxiety, insult, temptation, don't speak, don't move. Count slowly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's your pause. That's your power. During those 5 seconds, something amazing happens. Logic catches up to emotion. Your brain shifts from reaction mode to decision mode. In those seconds, your feelings want to lead, but your discipline, your training, steps in and says, wait. That's the difference between a soldier and a civilian, between a leader and a follower, between chaos and composure. Every strong mind uses the pause, because emotion makes noise, but clarity only speaks in silence. You have to train your pause like a muscle, every day, every moment. When someone provokes you, pause. When an opportunity looks too good to be true, pause. When you feel pressured to react, pause. The pause protects you from yourself. Navy SEALs and negotiators. You want proof? Look at the elite. Navy SEALs, FBI negotiators, world-class athletes. They all master one thing: the pause. A Navy SEAL under fire doesn't react emotionally. He breathes. He takes control of his body before making a move, because one emotional second can cost a mission. A negotiator doesn't rush to speak. He lets silence do the work. He understands that the one who speaks first often loses power. Even in sports, champions pause. Before a penalty kick, before a free throw, before a serve, they breathe. That's not random. That's discipline. They train the pause so deeply that it becomes instinct. Because when pressure rises, instincts take over. And if you haven't trained your pause, your reaction will always betray you. The science of stillness. Let's talk about science for a moment. Your emotions live in the amygdala, the oldest, most primitive part of your brain. It reacts instantly. Your logic, your rational decision-making, lives in the prefrontal cortex. It's slower, smarter, wiser. When you pause, you give your prefrontal cortex time to catch up. You let intelligence override impulse. That's why the pause feels uncomfortable, because your body wants to move before your brain is ready. That's also why undisciplined people always regret their words, their texts, their actions. They never waited for wisdom to show up. Pause is not weakness. Pause is evolution. It's how you separate your primitive self from your disciplined self. Silence builds respect. Here's something most people don't understand. When you pause, you gain respect. Silence makes people uncertain. They wonder what you're thinking. They feel your control. It's why powerful leaders don't rush to speak in meetings. It's why strong men and women don't argue on impulse. They know energy flows where attention goes. When you pause before reacting, you show that your emotions serve you, not the other way round. You become unpredictable, and that unpredictability commands authority. It's not about proving you're right, it's about proving you're in control. That's the key.
Real-world application. Let's get practical. Here's how to start mastering the pause today. 1. Practice the 5-second rule. Every time something triggers you, before replying, before posting, before reacting, count to 5. Say to yourself, I'm in control. 2. Use breathing as a weapon. When emotions rise, slow your breath. Inhale through your nose for 4 seconds, hold for 4, exhale for 4. This resets your nervous system instantly. 3. Train in safe situations. Don't wait for a crisis. Practice pausing in daily conversations, traffic, arguments, and small frustrations. Every pause you practice becomes automatic under pressure. 4. Reflect after each victory. Every time you pause instead of react, celebrate it. Reinforce the habit. That's how the pause becomes part of your identity. Because that's what this is about. Identity. Not tricks, not tactics. Transformation. You're not pretending to be calm. You are calm. You're not acting disciplined. You are disciplined. That's what mastering the pause creates. A new you. The pause and power. Let me say this again. Power is not found in reaction. Power is found in restraint. Anyone can shout. Anyone can argue. Anyone can press send. But only a few can pause. Only a few can breathe when everything in them screams to react. Only a few can hold silence like a sword. That's what separates those who chase control from those who become control. The pause is the bridge between emotion and intelligence, between chaos and strategy, between noise and mastery. If you want to be respected, learn to pause. If you want to be trusted, learn to pause. If you want to be free, learn to pause. Every great decision in history came from a pause. Every disaster came from reaction. That's the difference between power and pain. Mastering the pause is mastering yourself. It's how you stop being a prisoner to impulse and start becoming a commander of choice. The pause is where strength lives. It's where leaders are born. It's where peace is built. You have a choice. You can react like the world or respond like a warrior. That's the key. Now that you've learned to master the pause, it's time to take the next step, to build stillness so deep that nothing external can disturb it. You've learned to stop before reacting. Now let's learn to stay unshaken while the world reacts around you. Chapter 4. Emotional control starts in the morning.
Your emotions don't explode randomly. They build, quietly, slowly. And most people don't realize the fuse gets lit the moment they wake up. Every morning, you make a decision, consciously or unconsciously, about who's in control of your mind, you or the chaos. That's the truth most people don't want to face. You think your emotional outbursts are about what someone said later in the day. They're not. They're symptoms of a morning you failed to master. You didn't start the day with control, so the day controlled you. Control your morning and your mind follows. That's not a slogan.
That's the blueprint for emotional dominance. 1. The morning is your battlefield. When you open your eyes, your mind is most vulnerable. It's empty space, waiting for a command. But instead of giving it one, most people surrender instantly. They reach for the phone. They scroll. They consume noise before they've even spoken to themselves. That's not checking updates. That's handing your mental steering wheel to someone else. Every notification, every headline, every comment becomes a tiny trigger that builds pressure for the rest of the day. You think you're reacting to life later, but no, you've been reacting since 6:30 a.m. You have a choice: silence or stimulation, command or chaos. That's the key. The most disciplined minds in the world, soldiers, CEOs, monks, they all understand this. If you don't win the first hour, you lose the rest. 2. Silence is your reset button. You don't need a fancy routine. You don't need an hour of meditation or a $5 coffee ritual. You need silence. 5 minutes. No noise. No input. Just you, your breath, and your thoughts. Because silence is not emptiness, it's calibration. It's how you check your inner temperature before you step into the world's heat. Think about it. You wouldn't start driving a car with a fogged-up windshield, so why do you rush into the day without clearing your mental one? Sit still. Listen. Observe what's loud inside you before it explodes later. You have a choice: react impulsively or reset intentionally. That's emotional control in its rawest form.
3. Journaling, the discipline of direction. People think journaling is soft. It's not. It's structure. It's a weapon disguised as a notebook. When you write down your thoughts, you drain their power. You take what's swirling in your head and give it shape. You move from chaos to clarity. Write this every morning. What am I feeling? What do I need to focus on today? What will not control me? That last one matters most. Because every day, something will try to control you: a person, an emotion, a fear, a distraction. And if you haven't already decided what won't control you, you'll lose the fight before it starts. It's not about motivation, it's about discipline. You don't need to feel inspired, you need to command your attention. You don't need their permission to be calm. You don't need perfect conditions to be focused. You just need 5 minutes of intentional writing that tells your brain, I'm the one in charge today. That's the key. 4. The emotional temperature check. Here's what elite performers do that most people don't. They measure their emotions before the world does. Call it an emotional temperature check. It's simple, but it's powerful. Ask yourself, out loud if you must, how calm am I right now? What's bothering me that doesn't deserve to? Am I reacting to my present or to my past? Do that and you interrupt the autopilot. You stop letting yesterday's emotions drive today's reactions. Because most people aren't angry about what's happening. They're angry about what happened. They're not anxious about today. They're anxious because they never paused to reset from yesterday. That's how emotional chaos begins. Unexamined mornings that roll into unconscious days. You have a choice every morning: start fresh or stay stuck. That's the difference between emotional strength and emotional slavery. 5. Your mind follows your mornings. Think about your life right now.
How many bad days began with a chaotic morning? How many arguments, mistakes, and regrets could have been avoided if you took 10 minutes to command your mental state first? You can't control the world, but you can control your start. And your start sets your standard. If your mornings are sloppy, your emotions will follow. If your mornings are grounded, your emotions will obey. You can't expect calm at noon if you started with chaos at dawn. It doesn't work like that. Control your morning, and your mind follows. Repeat that until it becomes instinct. Because when you master your mornings, you master your emotions. And when you master your emotions, you become untouchable. 6. Real-world instructions. Here's how to apply this starting tomorrow. Step 1. Silence before screens. The first 5 minutes after waking belong to you, not to anyone else. No phone, no music, no noise. Sit in silence. Breathe. Command your mind. Step 2. Write your clarity. Open a notebook. Write what you feel and what you'll focus on. 3 lines, that's enough. Step 3. Temperature check. Rate your emotional state from 1 to 10. If it's below 5, don't rush into people or problems. Reset first. That's discipline. Step 4. Repeat daily. Discipline is not a one-time event. It's repetition. You do it even when it's boring, especially when it's boring. That's how emotional control is built, one morning at a time. You have a choice. You can start your day reacting to the noise of the world, or you can start by commanding your inner world. It's not about perfection, it's about direction. Every morning, you choose the tone of your life, peace or panic, control or chaos. And here's the truth. The world respects the man or woman who controls their emotions, because emotional control is power. You can't be manipulated if you can't be triggered. You can't be defeated if you're grounded. And that grounding begins before sunrise. Control your morning, and your mind follows. That's the foundation of every disciplined life. You've learned how to command your emotions before the day begins. Now it's time to learn how to protect that control when the world starts testing you. Chapter 5. Don't take things personally. Nothing is about you.
Every emotional wound you carry comes from one root. You took something personally that was never about you. Someone's words, someone's silence, someone's rejection. You turned their behavior into your identity. You let their insecurity become your reflection. But here's the truth most people never learn. It's not personal, it's a projection. That's the key. Every insult, every dismissal, every betrayal, it's not about who you are, it's about who they are. And the sooner you understand that, the freer you become. 1. Your ego is the enemy. Most emotional pain isn't reality, it's ego. It's the fragile part of you that says, "How dare they treat me that way?" The part that needs validation to feel seen. But ego always lies. It tells you everything is about you, when in reality, almost nothing is. That friend who stopped calling, they're fighting their own battles. That boss who snapped at you, they're overwhelmed. That stranger who insulted you online, they're projecting their own unhappiness. You suffer because you personalize what was never personal. When someone disrespects you, they're revealing their character, not defining yours. When someone ignores you, they're exposing their priorities, not lowering your worth. You have a choice. Feed your ego or protect your peace. That's the key. It's not about being right. It's about staying free. It's not about winning arguments. It's about winning your inner stability. You don't need their apology. You don't need their permission. You just need to remember, it's not personal. It's a projection. 2. Criticism is a mirror. Every time someone criticizes you, they're showing you their reflection, not yours. Their fears, their limitations, their hidden resentment. People project what they can't handle about themselves. An insecure person mocks confidence. A lazy person resents discipline. A jealous person attacks success. So when someone throws negativity your way, pause. Don't react. Reflect. Ask yourself, what are they revealing about themselves right now? That simple shift changes everything. Because when you stop absorbing, you start observing. You move from being controlled to being in control. You have a choice to let their projection enter your space or stand firm in your calm. That's emotional power. 3. Rejection is redirection. Rejection hurts, but it's rarely personal. It's a redirection, not a verdict. You didn't lose your worth when they said no. You just lost someone who couldn't recognize it. That's not rejection, that's clarity. When life blocks you, it's not punishing you, it's protecting you. Protecting you from wrong paths, wrong people, wrong timing. The problem is that ego wants everything now, but wisdom waits. You have to train your mind to say, I wasn't rejected, I was redirected. That's not denial. That's discipline. That's choosing perspective over pain. Because the moment you stop taking rejection personally, you stop being afraid of trying again. That's the key. Freedom from fear comes when nothing feels personal anymore. 4. The cost of personalizing everything. Taking things personally is emotional slavery. It means you've handed over your peace to anyone with an opinion. One comment ruins your day. One look shifts your mood. One rejection destroys your confidence. You become reactive instead of grounded. And every reaction feeds their control over you. You can't live like that. Not if you want to be strong. Not if you want peace. Here's the truth. You teach people how to treat you by what you take personally. When you stop reacting, they stop controlling, because silence starves manipulation. It's not about arrogance, it's about self-respect. You have a choice. Let their chaos enter your space or stand firm in your calm. That's emotional power. 5. Train your mind to depersonalize. So how do you stop taking things personally? You practice emotional distance, not from people, but from meaning. Here's how. Step 1. Pause before reacting. When something offends you, don't answer instantly. Count to 5. Breathe. Most emotional wounds heal in the seconds you don't speak. Step 2. Ask, is this really about me? 9 times out of 10, it's not. It's about their bad day, their insecurity, or their lack of control. Step 3. Replace reaction with reflection. Say to yourself, it's not personal, it's a projection. Repeat it until it becomes instinct. Step 4. Move with emotional neutrality. That doesn't mean you don't care. It means you choose not to be consumed. You can acknowledge emotion without being ruled by it. That's the discipline. It's not about being numb. It's about being unshakable. 6. Practical examples. Your coworker criticizes your work harshly. Old you would defend yourself, argue, feel hurt. Disciplined you pauses and thinks, this is about their stress, not my skill. You respond calmly, and suddenly you own the room. Your friend ghosts you. Old you feel unworthy. Disciplined you say, this is about their season, not my value. You release them. No resentment, no bitterness. Your parents disapprove of your choices. Old you feel guilty. Disciplined you know they're projecting their fears, not protecting my future. You honor them, but stay firm in your direction. That's strength. That's mastery. That's emotional control in action. You don't need their understanding. You don't need their praise. You just need inner peace. And that only comes when you stop personalizing the world. 7. Nothing is about you. That's the secret few ever grasp. Most people's behavior is a mirror of their own inner storm. The angry person is battling pain. The cold person is hiding fear. The arrogant person is masking insecurity. Once you see that, you stop being offended. You stop making everything about you. You become detached, not cold, but wise. Not distant, but disciplined. You start living with power because you no longer waste energy fighting battles that were never yours. That's the transformation, moving from emotional victim to emotional commander. You have a choice. You can keep reacting to projections, or you can rise above them. You can keep feeding your ego, or you can protect your peace. It's not about being heartless. It's about being self-aware. You're not here to absorb everyone's emotional chaos. You're here to stand firm in your own clarity. So the next time someone criticizes, rejects, or disrespects you, remember this: it's not personal. It's a projection. Smile, stay calm, keep moving. Because nothing people do is truly about you. It's always about them. And that realization is freedom. You've learned not to take things personally, to see the world through truth, not ego. Now it's time to go deeper, to learn how to protect your peace completely, no matter the noise around you. Chapter 6. The Power of Emotional Detachment.
People misunderstand emotional detachment. They think it means you stop caring, that you shut down, that you become cold. But that's not detachment. That's avoidance. True emotional detachment isn't about not caring. It's about choosing when to care. It's about learning to engage with life without letting life control your peace. You see, emotional detachment is power. It's clear. It's the space between what happens and how you choose to respond. And that space is everything, because in that space, you regain control. In that space, you stop being manipulated. In that space, you become unshakable. That's the key. 1. Emotional detachment is not weakness. Let's destroy the biggest myth right now. Detachment is not indifference. It's not about being emotionless. It's about being emotionally disciplined. The world glorifies emotional reaction. the outrage, the arguments, the impulsive responses. But strong people, they practice emotional distance. They don't let every word penetrate. They don't let every storm pull them in, because they understand something most people don't. You can care deeply and still stay detached. That's power. It's not about apathy. It's about alignment. It's about choosing your emotional battles intentionally. You don't need to attend every argument you're invited to. You don't need to feel everything that happens. You have a choice: to attach to meaning or to let it go. That's emotional intelligence. That's emotional detachment. 2. Emotionally invested, mentally detached. Let's use a real-world example. Elite athletes. When a world-class sprinter steps onto the track, they're emotionally invested in winning. They trained for years, sacrificed everything. But in that moment, before the gun fires, their mind must detach. No panic, no fear, no emotion. Because emotion ruins execution. They must operate from logic, not from pressure. They must feel the moment, but not become the moment. The same goes for great investors. When markets crash, emotional people panic. They sell out of fear. They lose everything. The emotionally detached investor pauses. They analyze. They wait. Because they understand emotion clouds judgment. Detachment creates clarity. That's the difference between reaction and mastery, between losing and leading. You can be emotionally invested in the outcome, but mentally detached from the chaos. That's balance. That's power. 3. Detachment is about control, not distance. Let's make something clear. Emotional detachment doesn't mean you isolate yourself. It means you stop letting people's energy dictate yours. It's not about running away. It's about standing firm. It's not about closing your heart. It's about protecting your mind. You can love people without losing yourself. You can help others without draining your energy. Because here's the truth. The more emotionally entangled you are with outcomes, the easier it is for life to control you. You expect, you attach, you get disappointed. But when you detach, you become flexible. You can adapt, you can adjust, you can pivot. You stop saying, "This must happen," and start saying, "Whatever happens, I'll handle it." That mindset turns chaos into calm. It turns pain into perspective. That's the discipline of detachment.
4. How to practice emotional detachment daily. Let's break it down into action. Step 1. Observe, don't absorb. When someone brings drama, don't join it. Watch it. Be a witness, not a participant. That's how you keep your energy clean. Step 2. Ask, what can I control right now? If you can't control it, release it. Let it go, mentally and emotionally. Control is peace. Obsession is prison. Step 3. Create mental distance. When emotions rise, step back, physically or mentally. Take a walk. Breathe. Delay the reaction. 5 minutes of distance can save you 5 days of regret. Step 4. Detach from outcomes. Focus on effort. You can control your work, not the result. Do your best, then detach, because obsession with outcomes breeds anxiety. You have a choice: stress over control or surrender with confidence. Choose surrender. Choose peace. 5. The benefits of detachment. When you master emotional detachment, life feels lighter. You stop chasing approval. You stop explaining yourself to everyone. You stop reacting to every noise around you. You move differently. You think slower. You act calmer. People can't provoke what you've detached from. They can't manipulate a mind that no longer depends on them for peace. You become the calm in the room, the one people can't read, can't shake, can't predict. That's power. That's control. You start making decisions from logic, not emotion. You start living with clarity, not confusion. And suddenly you realize detachment isn't losing emotion, it's gaining wisdom. 6. When to attach and when to let go. Not every situation deserves your full emotional weight. You must learn to differentiate. Attach to purpose, not to problems. Attach to your values, not to your validation. Attach to the process, not the praise. Everything else, release it. Stop attaching to outcomes that drain you. Stop attaching to people who confuse you. Stop attaching to moments you can't change. Because emotional freedom isn't about what you hold on to. It's about what you let go of. You have a choice. React or rise. That's the key. 7. The silent power of stillness. When you detach, you create internal space, and in that space, you find stillness. Stillness is not weakness. Stillness is strength under control. It's choosing not to respond when everyone expects you to explode. It's silent when others scream. It's patience when others panic. That's not emotionless. That's mastery. The world moves too fast, but emotionally detached people move slowly, intentionally, strategically. They don't chase every feeling. They lead their emotions like soldiers, not slaves. And because of that, they win quietly. You have a choice. You can keep attaching your peace to people, to praise, to outcomes, or you can detach and reclaim your control. It's not about coldness. It's about clarity. It's not about indifference. It's about intelligence. Detach to think, detach to breathe, detach to win. Because emotional detachment isn't escape, it's elevation. It's what separates the reactive from the unshakable. You don't need their permission to stay calm. You don't need their approval to walk away. You just need to remember, emotionally invested, mentally detached. That's the formula. That's freedom. You've learned the power of detachment, how to stay grounded when the world tries to pull you in. You've learned to lead your emotions instead of being led by them. Now it's time to take everything you've built, the discipline, the detachment, the resilience, and forge it into something unbreakable. Because strength isn't tested when things are easy. It's tested when everything falls apart and you still stand firm. Let's bring it all together. Chapter 7. Emotionally Unshakable. Building Your Final Fortress.
This is it, the final chapter, the moment where everything you've learned comes together. You've been training your mind like a soldier. You've faced your fears. You've detached from chaos. You've built self-control when most people are falling apart. Now, it's time to go beyond strength. It's time to become emotionally unshakable. Because life won't stop testing you. People won't stop disappointing you. The world won't suddenly become kind or fair. But you can become immune to its storms. That's the goal. Not to escape emotion, but to master it. The formula for emotional mastery. Here's the formula most people never learn. Awareness plus detachment plus response equals mastery. That's the equation that builds your final fortress. Let's break it down. Step 1, awareness. You can't control what you can't see. Most people live blind to their own emotional triggers. They think they're angry because of someone else. They think they're anxious because of the world. But that's not awareness. That's avoidance. Awareness means you catch yourself in the act. You see the emotion rising before it takes over. You name it before it controls you. You pause before you react. That's power. That's the first wall of your fortress. You can't fix what you refuse to acknowledge. Step 2, detachment. This is where you build the gate. Detachment doesn't mean you don't care. It means you choose when to care and how much. It means you stay calm when others lose control. It means you don't let the world dictate your mood. The detachment says, I'm here. I feel it, but I don't belong to it. You're in the storm, but the storm isn't in you. That's the second wall, the one that keeps chaos out. Step 3, response. This is where true mastery happens, because emotional control isn't about feeling less. It's about responding better. Anyone can react, but it takes discipline to choose your response, to pause, to breathe, to act with intention. That's how you win. That's how you build something the world can't shake. The practice: reflect, reframe, release. Let's talk about daily practice, the habits that turn emotional mastery into muscle memory. Because emotional strength isn't built once, it's built daily. Every choice, every reaction, every morning you decide to lead instead of following your emotions. Here's your daily drill. Reflect, reframe, release. Reflect. Every night, ask yourself, where did I lose control today? Don't judge it, just see it. Awareness grows from reflection. You become emotionally intelligent when you stop running from your patterns. Reframe. The next step is mental correction. Take what hurts you and change its meaning. Did someone insult you? Reframe it. They showed me where their pain lives. Did something fail? Reframe it. That wasn't a failure. That was the direction. You always have a choice to redefine what things mean. That's the key. That's what separates strength from suffering. Release. Once you've reflected and reframed, let it go. Don't drag yesterday's emotion into today's energy. That's emotional maturity. To feel it once, learn forever, never repeat. Say it again. Feel it once, learn forever, never repeat. That's emotional immunity. What being unshakable really means. Being emotionally unshakable doesn't mean you never feel pain. It means pain no longer defines you. You still feel disappointment, but you don't drown in it. You still feel anger, but you don't let it burn your peace. You still feel fear, but you don't obey it. It means you don't live in reaction anymore. You live in control. You live with purpose. You live above the noise. And that is the final step to emotional mastery.
Unshakable people don't fight emotions, they flow through them. They know emotions are teachers, not masters. They listen, they learn, and they move forward. The real test. The real test of your fortress isn't when life is calm. It's when chaos returns. When everything you built is challenged. When life throws loss, betrayal, or uncertainty your way. That's when you'll know if your walls are solid or weak. That's when you realize emotional strength is the highest form of intelligence. Because anyone can stay calm when everything goes their way. But it takes power to stay centered when everything falls apart. And when that day comes, and it will, remember this. You have a choice. You can fall apart with the world, or you can stand firm inside your fortress, the final fortress. Your fortress isn't made of stone. It's made of self-awareness. It's made of calm responses. It's made of boundaries that protect your peace. It's made of the discipline to feel without being ruled. Every time you choose stillness over chaos, your walls get stronger. Every time you respond instead of react, your foundation deepens. Every time you detach without disconnecting, you reinforce the gate. That's how emotional warriors are built, brick by brick, choice by choice, moment by moment. And when the world tries to shake you again, you'll smile because you've already won the battle within. Final words. The real victory in life isn't money, fame, or applause. It's inner peace. It's the quiet confidence that no matter what happens, you can handle it. That's the highest level of power. That's the fortress that can't be broken. So remember this as you walk away from this audiobook. Feel deeply, but never drown. Care, but on your own terms. Reflect, reframe, release every single day. Because emotional strength isn't built in a day. It's built through every moment you refuse to be controlled by what you feel. You are the gatekeeper of your mind. You are the master of your emotions. And now, you are unshakable. If this hits you deep, don't scroll. Subscribe right now. Because this isn't just another channel, it's mental training. Like the video, share it, subscribe, and keep growing stronger every day. Stay focused, stay disciplined, and remember, emotions don't control you. You control them. See you in the next video.